A very good evening and thank you so much for joining us tonight on BeeTv Major News at 6, reaching you live from Benin City, Edo State Capital, Nigeria. I am Gift Uwagboy. Now to the news in details. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on Sunday flagged off the 125-kilometer Benin-Asaba highway expected to be completed within 30 months. President Tinubu was represented at the flag-off by the Governor of Edo State, Senator Monday Okwebelu. At the flag-off, Minister of Works, Engineer Dave Umahi, commended the visionary leadership of Governor Okwebelu, who he said has turned the state into a construction site in less than 150 days in office. The report.
President Bola Tinubu, represented by the Minister of Works, Dave Umahi, used the opportunity to thank President Bola Tinubu for his love for the people of Edo State, saying as a minister, he has visited the state about 3 times for action projects. He also commended Governor Okwebelu, who he said has demonstrated love and commitment for his people by embarking on people-oriented projects like the flyover at Ramat Park in Benin City, the state capital. He said in less than 150 days in office, Governor Okwebelu turned the entire capital city into a construction site. I commend you very highly for this foresight.
There are over other 20 projects between Delta and Edo State that the president is doing. And so this government of Senator Monday, I think it's a government of divine inspiration, and it is a government that is ordained by God. And when I see people that are taking you to court, I say it's because they don't hear from God. If they hear from God, they will know, just like the president, that you're a divine governor.
He said the Federal Ministry of Works has come to Edo State for the 3rd time in less than 100 days, not by choice, as Mr. President directed all the visit. He said this construction is like a cashless program, adding that the president is working on several sections of roads across the nation, ensuring that the country has good roads and people enjoy and benefit from the dividends of democracy. Given the specification of the project, the minister said that the project is 125 kilometers by 2, that is 250 kilometers. It is given to have solar lights, and the federal government is not putting in any money, but done private-public partnership is the way to go.
And you come to Edo State, you now find out the 3 sections that are going to worry. And I want to commend you very, very highly. The first section is being done by Levant. And just a few weeks back, we were here to appeal to you that you should intervene. And Governor, you intervene by taking out 23 kilometers of the road that is going to Warri, and for a total contract sum of not less than 40 billion. And that work has commenced. And so I commend you, like father, like son.
The Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the country, Wale Edun, thanked the President for his foresight in ensuring that the people of Nigeria enjoy good roads across the country, assuring the people that the finances for the project is available. As such, the projects from start to finish is sure. Governor Okwebelu, who represented President Tinubu at the occasion, said the road is a legacy project and Edo State is now becoming like Lagos in terms of infrastructural development. He thanked the president for the love shown to Edo State under his watch as governor of Edo State, saying the people are now benefiting from the dividends of democracy.
This man loved Edo so much that any time, any opportunity I have with him, the first thing he will ask me, how is Edo? The second question will be, how is the Oba of Benin? I want to tell you, Mr. Minister, tell Mr. President, we will even take our campaign to other states on his behalf.
On his part, Edo State Governor Senator Monday Okwebelu thanked the president for his vision for the nation, saying the people are enjoying dividends of democracy following the good initiatives his administrations have embarked on. Governor of Delta State, Sheriff Oborewori, thanked the president for what he is doing for the people of Edo State and Delta State, appealing to him to extend the road to Onisha Bridge. Oborewori, represented by the deputy Sir Monde Oyeme, said the road is a critical infrastructure that connects the eastern and western regions of Nigeria. He noted that the road will improve the standard of living of the people, urging all to work together to ensure successful completion. Managing Director, African Plus Partners, Mr. Adeniran Ajakaye, said from the King Square to bypass, it will be like a 10-lane carriageway comprising of 5 carriageways on each side to allow movement faster. Permanent Secretary in the Federal Ministry of Works, Olufunsho Adebiyi, said the Benin-Asaba Highway Corridor is under Phase 1 New Hope agenda to improving the road infrastructure and fostering sustainable development. Adebiyi said the Benin-Asaba Highway is a crucial link between the southern and northern region of Nigeria, which is vital to trade and other economic activities, recognizing that the highway is an essential part of the nation's economic backbone and has long been in need of urgent rehabilitation and upgrade.
The Benin-Asaba Road Corridor was concession to the Benin-Asaba Expressway Concession Company Limited for the rehabilitation and value-added concession of the road. This event marks a significant milestone in the commitment of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's Renew Hope agenda to improving the road.
Of the election, after APC polled 291,667 votes to defeat other candidates and the political parties. However, what is news here is that Edo people are expectant of what would likely become the outcome of the Justice Wilfred Pochi-led 3-man panel of Edo State Governorship Election Petitions Tribunal. Parties haven't adopted their final written addresses earlier in this month. And so in this special report, we crave your indulgence for the next 20 minutes or more as we delve into the main issues canvassed by parties during the adoption of final written addresses. So sit back and enjoy these special reports. Politicians and interested parties in Edo State and beyond are all waiting for the Justice Wilfred Pochi-led 3-man panel to announce a date for the judgment of Edo State Governorship Election Petitions Tribunal. In the final written addresses by parties, revealed that the petitioners who were dissatisfied with the declaration and return of the second respondent, Senator Monde Okpebholo, filed a petition on 11th October 2024, wherein they challenged the result of election in several hundreds of polling units across the 18 local government area of Edo State. The main grounds of the petition is that in the results declared by the first respondent, that is, the Independent National Electoral Commission allegedly reckoned with invalid votes, collated incorrect scores, and also collated results which are not in tandem by polling unit results. The petition is predicated on 2 grounds: that the election was invalid by reason of non-compliance with the provisions of the Electoral Act 2022, and that the second respondent, Senator Monde Okpebholo, was not duly elected by majority of lawful vote cast at the election. Allegations of non-compliance in the petition in support of ground 1 are confined to the conduct of the election in 453 polling units out of the total of 4,519 polling units in Edo State. The allegations of non-compliance are rather 2 subheads. The first is predicated on the contravention of the provisions of Section 73(2) of the Electoral Act 2022 in 395 polling units, resulting from the failure to prior recording of the serial numbers and other particulars of result sheets, ballot papers, beavers machines, and other sensitive materials in Form EC 25B. The second non-compliance addresses the issue in Section 51(2) of the Electoral Act 2022, in that the total vote cast as recorded in Form EC 8A in 133 polling units exceeded the total number of accredited voters based on the beavers record of accreditation. The trial of the election petition commenced on the 15th day of January 2025, with the petitioners opening their case. They tendered some certified true copies of polling unit results sheets from Form EC 8A, voters registers, beavers screenshots, beavers results, from EC8A downloaded from the IREF portal, and sundry other electoral documents from the bar as exhibits PA1 to PJQ. The petitioners also called 19 witnesses, PW1 to PW19, through whom they tendered some duplicates of agent copies of polling unit result sheets from EC8A, agent tags, and sundry
other documents as exhibits. They also tendered 153 BVAS machine devices from the bar as exhibit PPDD1 to PPDD153, which were produced before the tribunal by an official of INEC based on the subpoenaed Duse Tecom exhibit PPCC issued by the tribunal. The petitioners closed their case on the 3rd day of February 2025, whereupon the respondents were called upon to open their defense. In defense of the claim, the first respondent tendered 75 true copies of some of the election documents, including the State Collation Result Sheet, Form EC8D, the Declaration of Result Sheet, Form EC8E, and the Regulation of Guidelines for the Conduct of Election 2022 from the bar as Exhibit R1, R2, and R3 respectively, and closed its case on the 6th day of February 2025 after indicating that it shall be relying on the evidence elicited under cross-examination of the petitioners and respondent witnesses. The second respondent, Senator Monday Pueblo, on his part, opened his defense on the 10th day of February 2025 by calling a single witness, ROW1, a poly unit agent for Unit 4 of Ward 7 for Via Southwest local government area, who adopted his witness statement on oath and tendered his agent tag as Exhibit R4 before the tribunal. The second respondent closed its case on the 10th day of February 2025 after indicating that he shall also rely on the evidence elicited under cross-examination of the petitioners and respondent witnesses. The third respondent opened its case on the 12th day of February 2025 and called 4 witnesses, ROW2, ROW3, ROW4, and ROW5, who were local government area collation agents of the second and third respondents during the election. These witnesses adopted their various witness statements on oath and tendered their permanent voter cards and agent tags. The complaints of the petitioners in 1 and 2 of the petition came under 3 subheads. The first is that in 312 polling units, the first respondent, INEC, failed to collate the lawful scores of the petitioners, and the second and third respondents, as contained in Form EC8A, which were duly scanned by its presiding officer and uploaded to INEC database for storage, counterpart copies of which were handed over to the agents of the political parties. The second grounds is that in 76 of the above referred 312 polling units, the first respondent failed to collate the polling unit results in Form EC8B at the ward level. This, they claimed, happened in Ward 2 of Ipobaha local government area. Another case of the petitioner is the invalidation and cancellation of the results of the election in 453 polling units. They said the tribunal may find proof and the cancellation of the lawful scores of the parties in the 312 polling units where allegations of incorrect collation of exclusion of polling units results are made, which substantially affected the result made at the election, with the ultimate result that the petitioners will become the winners of the election with 240,234 lawful votes, and the second and third respondents will become the runner-up in the election with 201,832 votes. At the close of trial and assessment of evidence led, the figures, according to the petitioners, are now reversed to 218,876 for the second and third respondents and 243,113 for the petitioners. However, in response to this petition, the respondents said the issue of prior recording, overvoting, incorrect non-collation, and wrongful cancellation of results from polling unit to polling unit, and to adduce direct eyewitness and documentary evidence of alleged irregularities and non-compliance is a matter of law, and cited Uche versus Elechi 2012 case. They said the Supreme Court in Rodas Vivo JSC clarified the position of the law that held that where a petitioner complained of non-compliance with the provisions of the Electoral Act 2010 as amended, he has a duty to prove it polling unit by polling unit, word by word. He must show figures that advanced party was credited with the result of the non-compliance in Form EC8A, election materials not stamped, signed by presiding officer. He must establish that non-compliance was substantial, that it affected the election results. It is only then that the respondents are to lead evidence in rebuttal, and also cited the case of Buhari versus Obasanjo 2025, Awolowo versus Shegari 1979, and supplied relevant documents. They submitted that in the instance case, the petitioners have woefully failed to meet the requirements of the law or discharge the evidential burden of proving the allegation of failure to prior recording of serial numbers and proved overvoting in any of the polling units complained about in the petition. The respondents said that the duty of prior recording of serial numbers and quantities of sensitive electoral materials is the responsibility of the presiding officers of the first respondent INEC assigned to each of the polling units, and that responsibility is required to be discharged by the presiding officers before the commencement of the polls at the various polling units of the election, according to Section 73(1)(3) of the Electoral Act 2022. The respondents, however, submitted that prior recording being an activity that is required to take place at the polling units of the election prior to the commencement of the polls, the evidence required to prove the alleged failure to discharge that responsibility must necessarily come from persons who took part in the electoral process at the polling units and who witnessed the alleged dereliction of duty on the part of the presiding officer, and the non-prior recording of serial number and quantities of sensitive electoral materials at the polling units, and cited the case of OK versus Mimico, where the Supreme Court stated the law and held as follows: that Section 45(2) of the Electoral Act expects evidence directly from the relevant field officers at the required polling units. Also, in the case of Mariga versus Another and Akali and others, where the appeal court pertinently held that the appellants did not call any polling unit agent to testify as a witness. Rather, the first appellant testify as a candidate and called word collation agents. The appeal court said none of them showed that he was at any of the polling units for any reasonable length of time, nor testified that he was present during the accreditation of voters, voting, collation of results, entering of results in Form EC8A, and announcement of results. And the court held that the evidence of all the witnesses in that case, PW1, PW2, PW3, and PW4 in the reference case, amounted to hearsay. APC Anokpabolo said, in the instance case, the petitioners who alleged that the first respondent INEC officials failed to comply with the requirement of the law of prior recording of serial numbers and quantities of sensitive electoral materials in about 395 polling units across the 18 local government area of Edo State, called only 19 witnesses to testify in proof of the allegation. They said witnesses consisted of 10 persons, PW1 to PW10, who claimed to have acted as local government area collation agents, 3 witnesses, PW11 to PW13, who claimed to have acted as ward collation agents, 5 persons, PW15 to PW19, who claimed to have acted as polling unit agents, and 1 person, PW12, who claimed to have acted as the Director of Research and Strategy for the petitioners. The respondents submitted that the bulk of the petitioners' witnesses, PW1 to PW19, are completely alien to the events that took place at the polling units on the day of the election, because they are not polling unit agents and cannot therefore give direct eyewitness evidence as to what transpired at the polling units. On the issue of alleged non-prior recording, they said the petitioners' failure to call their polling unit agent is fatal to their case, citing the case of Baba and Another versus INEC and Another, where the Supreme Court held in similar circumstances as in this case as follows: that the appellants have an onerous duty to most especially plead each and every specific polling unit so challenged, and thereby lead credible documentary and oral evidence substantiating the allegation regarding the affected polling units. The respondent said in the instance of the PW1 to PW14 of the PDP and Aswan Godalo under cross-examination that they personally examined the electoral forms after the election, and their testimony is based on what they discovered from the examination of the document exposes incontrovertibly that their testimony is inadmissible hearsay. They said the law is well settled that the petitioner must adduce direct eyewitness evidence of what transpired in an election petition and not the hearsay testimony of those who picked the information from studying the document, and also cited the case of Andrew Izeyamo and Another versus INEC and others, where the Supreme Court said the appellants have admitted in their brief that the evidence of their witnesses did not arise from what they witnessed on election day 15 to PW19 did not adduce any evidence in support of the allegations of failure of the presiding officer to prior recording serial numbers and quantities of sensitive election materials before the tribunal, and are therefore of no avail to the petitioners in that regard. In other words, the respondents said the petitioners did not call any polling unit agents to prove the allegation of no prior recording, and that failure is fatal to the petitioner's case. They also referred the tribunal to Baba and Another versus INEC and Another in the Supreme Court case. They said the petitioners also tendered documents from the bar which were admitted by the tribunal as exhibit PCA1 to PCA 320 certified 3 copies of polling unit results from EC8A, exhibit PEAI to exhibit PEA 75, that is the certified true copies of IREF poly unit result sheets from EC8A, Exhibit PCB 1 to PCB 308, certified true copies of poly unit booklets containing from EC25B, EC40A, and EC40C, and Exhibit PEB 1 to PEB 706, certified true copies of poly unit booklet containing from EC25B, EC40A, and EC40C. They said despite this volume of documents submitted by the petitioners, the respondents said the documents were dumped on the tribunal without demonstration as required by law and are therefore inadmissible and of no avail. They said their makers were not called to testify before the tribunal or to be cross-examined, and no witness were called from the poly unit to demonstrate the said document before the tribunal. They said in the final written address that in past Supreme Court judgment, Andrew and another versus INEC and others, the Supreme Court stated that tendering of documents without adducing evidence which linked the document and the particular complaint of the party is fatal. This is because it is not the duty of the court to examine the document outside the tribunal. In Begor versus Ahmed, the Supreme Court emphasized the fact that where the maker of a document is not called to testify, the document will not be accorded probative value, notwithstanding its status as a certified public document. Also, in the case of Omishore versus Aregbe Shola, the court held as follows. In other words, the documentary evidence, no matter its relevance, cannot on its own speak for itself without the aid of an explanation relating its existence. The validity and relevance of documents to admit facts or evidence is when it is done in the open court and not a matter of caseless address. It is also not the duty of a court to speculate or work out either mathematically or scientifically a method of arriving at an answer on an issue which could only be elicited by credible and tested evidence at the trial. The respondents said the petitioners neglected and failed to call any of their poly unit agents from the 395 poly units complained about to speak to and demonstrate the said exhibits. The respondents claimed that the petitioners, who alleged that the election was marred by incidences of overvoting, woefully failed to produce and tender admissible copies of the BVAS machines and the voters' register used by the first respondent INEC for the accreditation of voters and conduct of the election to enable the tribunal to consider and determine the issue of alleged overvoting. They said the copies of the BVAS machines and voters' register tendered by the petitioners as Exhibit PPDD1 to PPDD153 and Exhibit PDB1 to PDB55, PEC1 to PEC66 from the bar are inadmissible in evidence and cannot be relied upon by the tribunal because they were dumped on the tribunal. The makers of the records in the BVAS machines and voters register were not called to tender them, as no witness who made entries on the BVAS machine or in the voters register was called by the petitioners to demonstrate them in evidence or to link them to the part of the case of the petitioners as required. They said in Begog versus Ahmed 2023, the Supreme Court clarified the position of the law and held that the proper person to tender a document is its maker, who alone can be cross-examined on it, and where a person who did not make it tenders it, the court ought not to attach probative value to it since the witness cannot be cross-examined on it. In the final analysis, the respondents urged the tribunal to dismiss the petition for lacking in merit and to find in favor of the election of the second respondent as declared by the first respondent for the following reason: that the petitioners failed to plead and prove all the results of the election, that the petitioners failed to call direct eyewitness evidence of presiding officers, poly unit agents, or registered voters who were present at the poly units, that the 19 eyewitnesses called by the petitioners were mostly ward and local government area collation agents who gave hearsay evidence of what allegedly transpired at the poly units and the results which they did not make and were not present when they were made, that all the documents tendered by the petitioners from the bar were dumped on the tribunal as their makers were not called to testify to demonstrate them and to link them to the various aspects of the complaint in the petition before the tribunal, that the petitioners' witnesses who alleged no prior recording of serial numbers and quantities of ballot papers and other sensitive election
Petitions Tribunal judgment will not exceed 180 days according to the Constitution. From Benin, Best Orator reporting for BeeTv News.
The member representing Oriomo and Unwode Federal Constituency at the House of Representatives, Honorable Chief Dr. Billy Osawa, has confirmed that the Abraka Obe Road construction project facilitated by the Niger Delta Development Commission (NDDC) is still under construction and has successfully completed nearly 10 kilometers of the road up to Uvesi from the Abraka axis. Honorable Chief Dr. Billy Osawaru disclosed this to BeeTv News during a press briefing after an on-site investigation of the road construction project. BeeTv News best orator tells us more.
The member representing Oriom and Uhunde Federal Constituency at the Federal House of Representatives, Honorable Chief Dr. Billy Osawaru, in an exclusive interview with BeeTv News, said following a letter submitted to his office by youths from Ugo Ward in Oriom local government area claiming that the construction of Abraka Urban Road, announced by the Honorable Minister of Regional Development, Honorable Engineer Abubakar Momo, was not true, prompted him to go for an on-the-spot inspection of the road. He said, contrary to the youth's claim, he found out that the road was under construction and had reached an appreciable stage with nearly 10 kilometers successfully completed up to a Wesi end from the Abraka axis.
The issue had to do with the road that they called Abraka Urban Road that was already under construction by NDDC. And our youth from Ugu Ward actually submitted a letter to my office. We decided to investigate what was happening. Yes, it's true, according to them, that it was announced in the media that the Abraka Urban Road was being constructed. And that was announced by the Honorable Minister of Regional Development. But our youths came out to protest that a road like that does not exist. As in, the construction of that road was not true. So I have done my investigation, and we have the videos to actually show that NDDC has started construction of the Abraka Urban Road, and they have done close to 10 kilometers up to Ewisi from the Abraka axis. What we have found out that this is still a project that is ongoing. We have those videos now that actually showed that NNPC is actually constructing that road. So I wanted to clear the air that the Honorable Minister was saying the truth, that this road was really under construction.
Chief Billy Osawaru urged the youth to remain patient and supportive of the project, stating that their patience will allow the project progress successfully. He also apologized to the Minister of Regional Development, Honorable Engineer Abubakar Momo, for any embarrassment caused and pledged to collaborate with the Niger Delta Development Commission to ensure the project is successfully completed.
And as for our youth, again, like I said, I appreciate your cautiousness, but I want to appeal again that the confidence you had in me, the trust you had in me 2 years ago when you sent me to represent you in the National Assembly, I want you to still keep that confidence, because anything that affects you affects me. And I promise that anytime you have concerns like this, I promise to always be there for you. But again, we just have to be patient and show some understanding.
Honorable Chief Dr. Billy Osawaru reaffirmed his commitment to delivering the dividends of democracy to the people of Uhunde and Oriomo Federal Constituency. He commended the youth for their consciousness and encouraged them to always bring any issues of concern to his attention, as he promised to always address them. Best Orator reporting for BeeTv News.
The governor, Siminalayi Fubara, has made his first public appearance today since his suspension from office. The suspended governor attended a Thanksgiving service at Salvation Ministries headquarters in Port Harcourt, and he was accompanied by notable politicians in the region, as well as his Chief of Staff, Edison Ebiye, former President of the Senate Pro Temporary and President General of Ohaneze Ndigbo Worldwide, John Mbata, among others. Siminalayi Fubara was suspended last week after President Bola Tinubu declared a state of emergency following political tensions in the state. Meanwhile, a section of the Ekiosa market reconstruction has reached appreciable stage, which is the decking stage, with work progressively speeding towards completion. BeeTv News Osarogi Agwebo updates on the market reconstruction reports that traders commended Edo State government for the swift progress of the project and expressed optimism for a timely completion. The report.
Assessing the reconstruction of Ekiosa market, where traders are hopeful to return soon, the news crew observed a significant progress in the reconstruction work. As the section of the project has reached the decking stage, with intensive work ongoing both inside and outside of the building. In an interview with BeeTv News, some traders commended the State government for the swift progress of the project and expressed optimism for a timely completion.
Yes, the government is trying, and so they are constructing the market for us, and we believe that in the shortest possible time, everything will be okay, and all of us can move into the market.
See, I'm very happy, but what I will say is that the market should be built faster, because we the traders, we have been on the street for so long. So the government, they are trying, but they should just make more effort and make sure the market should be completed and we will move in so that we will not be stranded again.
If they quick build that, we'll get better space to stay. It better pass this one, that way some of the beat us, break the beat us. We don't enjoy like this. So we pray, may God empower them, may God quick, may God give them strength and power to do it quickly so that we can pack into the normal place.
The engineer in charge of the site said they are taking unnecessary steps to ensure the project is completing within the scheduled time frame. Osarogi Agwebo reporting for BeeTv News.
Another pipeline explosion has occurred, this time at the Soku gas plant in Akuku Toru local government area. A non-governmental organization, the Youth and the Environment Advocacy Center, raised the alarm about the incident in the facility operated by the Nigerian Liquefied Natural Gas in accordance to the group. Witnesses reported hearing an explosion accompanied by fire, but a conflicting report from the leadership of Soku Kingdom denying the claims of an attack on the gas plant. Instead, the General Secretary of Soku Kingdom witness Alesha, in a counter statement, confirmed a fire outbreak along the Soku-Abua-Rumuji gas pipeline right of way. Although the both groups differ on the location of the incident, none of them was able to confirm the cause. The need for the World Health Organization to take tuberculosis disease as a dire health challenge was emphasized on today's commemoration of World Tuberculosis Day. In an interview with BeeTv News, Dr. Christopher Egbe, a medical consultant at the Edo State Specialist Hospital, explained that tuberculosis is a disease that emanates from possible cause of infections. The report.
March 24 is recognized globally to mark World Tuberculosis Day, a disease that has been in place for years now and has currently led to over 1 million deaths globally. In an interview with BeeTv News, Dr. Christopher Egbe, a medical consultant at the Edo State Specialist Hospital, explained that tuberculosis is a very serious disease that emanates from possible cause of infection, which has led to over 1.3 million deaths globally and still counting. He further said the disease, which can stay longer in the body without giving you symptoms, can later turn to a full-blown casualty, leading to coughing out blood, spitting yellowish substance, and therefore resulting to losing appetite. And at this stage, it is referred to post-primary tuberculosis. He therefore used the opportunity to call for global action, and that with maximum efforts in place, tuberculosis can be put to an end.
Today is World Tuberculosis Day. Every 24th of March is declared World Tuberculosis Day. Today is not different, and happily this year we have a theme. Yes, we can end TB, and there is an international call, global call for commitment to deliver service. You know, let people get involved, let them invest, let them commit themselves and find new ways, you know, to deliver TB programs.
Apart from commemoration of the Tuberculosis Day, persons are also advised to go for routine checkup, especially because it is medically confirmed that early detections can be of help in treating the disease. Freeman Osawe reporting for BeeTv News.
Custom officers at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos, have intercepted $5,780 from a passenger arriving from South Africa. The Nigerian Customs Service said it's cracking down on currency trafficking and would tolerate any attempt to sabotage the economy. The report.
Customs Area Controller John Harrison says the passenger falsely declared the amount of cash he was carrying. He explains the travelers must declare any cash above $10,000 upon arrival.
One Mr. Okorie, Silvano Sunday, came on board of South African Airways flight SA60 from Johannesburg on Wednesday, 19th March 2025. He approached our currency declaration desk as expected and declared a sum of $279,000. But upon examination, because his body language betrayed him, on examination, additional sum of $299,000 was discovered, neatly packed and concealed in different packages within his baggage and his body.
The seized money was handed over to the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, for further investigation. Both agencies stress the importance of protecting Nigeria's financial system.
The provision of the law is very clear. It's incumbent on each and every passenger, whether going out of Nigeria or coming into Nigeria, to declare any cash in his possession in excess of $10,000. No matter how much is the amount, all what the law requires upon that person, and is mandatory, is that declaration.
We want to promote a situation whereby the country is safe as an investment destination. We want to promote a system whereby the investors have confidence to come to Nigeria to do business.
Authorities say they remain committed to enforcing financial laws and preventing illegal cash movement. Balumi Mukolo reporting for BeeTv News.
You're still watching BeeTv Major News at 6. Right now, we'll be going on a short break and we'll be right back. Please stay with us.
A client when you come out with me. Away times 3 of it, I want it. Yes, so. Then you go you want. Okpawo, away ye gwale lale di. No do ajiwe we ani ya.
Eni okpa na ogwa sume so wa ni go me side.
Any what here?
What here? We no nwina no nwina ya.
Yeah. So pon rigore. Ide percentage me dey fe po. Ide no pare lale di. O do pare o ka we kan nwina no nwina.
Wa na no sunu we do na. Senator Mojo pe wo. Oka ewe o ma ko na ri nego we mi dan de ba ma ni ya jo ma mu na te kidnapping ko ni ana mi o wa wo o e tenant no ni o to ba nya wa o wa ni aipo ho e be ani opa o awo e ma ni no du e o tuye ko wa na te cortis nya wa re mu e gi popa nya gie ti e nu no e mu na no wina be do ma na wini na gbo la ga ri e la mo wa e ti pese se gbogbo ya na me wan koma nu ma gba ko e be do gbonu ye la ti yo egbe te do kian temu te do kian miefa le ne mata e do temu ne o kari obe do ye me na gbegbe o
landlady that just say I meet you for house. That my client when I dey tell you, he said he ready to pay times 3 of the amount. Then another thing be say he no need landlady when they take nose come dey smell wetin dey happen for compound.
The one wey dey master don smell and finish. Call na money come give me.
Make I just call her.
Hey, wait. Una know the work where they work.
Wetin concern me concern the work when they do. My own na make it pay the money. I carry my percentage for pocket me. I give landlady the rest. That be my work. I be agent.
Una never know wetin dey fly dey go so. Our governor talk say all these people wey dey do kidnapping so any house where they see the person, whether na the person build the house or na ten ant dey, the house they go demolish am. No be only that one o. All those small secret court wey they dey, say anybody wey they see, the person go 21 years imprisonment. Anybody wey dey use water dey tie am for back, that person go 10 years for jail. Agent, no collect money for your hand again.
Landlady, na 30% we dey talk so.
30% kill you there.
Say no to kidnapping, say no to cultism, and no forget to report any wuru or krukere waka to government. This message na from Edo State Government too.
Welcome back and thank you so much for staying. And now to business. On Monday, March 24, 2025, the Nigerian Naira experienced a decline in value at the official exchange window, losing 1.25% of its value over the course of the week. By Friday, the Naira was trading at 1,536.89 to the US dollar. BeeTv News' Pelumi Mukoro has details of this and more from the business world.
According to the data from the Central Bank of Nigeria, the Naira's value fluctuated throughout the week. The currency opened the week at 1,528.03 to the US dollar, but ultimately ended the week on a weaker note. Reports emerged that negotiations between the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Limited and local refineries over a Naira for crude agreement had stalled. This development has raised concerns about the potential impact on the foreign exchange market. The halt in Naira sales by Dangote Petroleum Refinery was also cited as a factor contributing to the Naira's decline. Dealers may need to source large amounts of US dollars to purchase petroleum products. The Central Bank of Nigeria has been working to boost foreign exchange supply to banks and bureau de change. However, the Naira continues to struggle despite these efforts. In contrast, the parallel market saw the Naira gain value against the US dollar, appreciating by 0.77% over the course of the week. The Naira closed at the average of 1,568 to the US dollar in the parallel market. MultiChoice upgrades DSTV with extra concurrent streaming, new channels, and Showmax savings, delivering more entertainment and value to subscribers. MultiChoice has announced expanding its streaming and channel lineup, offering more entertainment options and added value to its subscribers. Premium, Compact Plus, and Compact customers can now enjoy an additional concurrent stream on any device, enhancing viewing flexibility across multiple environments. For the Compact, Family, and Access customers, they are adding extra channels and increasing entertainment options and catch-up titles. Compact Super Sport Action Channel 210, African Magic Channel, Curiosity Channel, History Channel, and CBS Justice, Comedy Central Channel, HTV Channel, and Disney Channel 303. The exclusive Showmax benefits continue to add value to the customers. The National Pension Commission has approved 9 payment solution service providers to participate in the new online pension contribution remittance system it has introduced in a new update on its website. PENCOM said that the online pension contribution remittance system replaces the manual process of employers remitting their employees' pension contributions. The unveiled service providers, including PayPen by Netline Limited, Pen Central by Charm Access Limited, PenSfair, Family Pay Through by Penthea Rehoboth International Limited, PenRemit by Cyberspace Limited, PenSol by Uniswitch Technology Limited, Penco by GemSpace Solutions Limited, Awaba by Awaba Remit Services Limited, Epcot by Nigeria Interbank Settlement System PLC, and Interswitch by Interswitch Group. Under the new arrangement, PENCOM says that employers can now upload employee schedules and make payment of their pension contributions online from the comfort of their homes or offices. Balumi Mokoro reporting for BeeTv News.
And now to the foreign scene, where Turkish government says 1,133 people have been arrested in 5 days protest, warning that terrorizing the streets will not be allowed. Officials claim that protesters are misusing the right to demonstrate. Also, U.S. and Russian officials are holding talks in Saudi Arabia about a possible peace deal in Ukraine. BeeTv News Global News correspondent Rebecca Goffey tells us more on this and other stories from the foreign scene.
The protest began after Istanbul's mayor Ekrem İmamoğlu, a political opponent of President Erdogan, was detained on corruption charges. İmamoğlu says the charges are politically motivated, but Erdogan denies this. Turkey's presidential election is set for 2028, but İmamoğlu was recently confirmed as his party's candidate after a symbolic vote. He spent Sunday night in jail and is awaiting trial. His arrest has fueled anger among Turks who feel oppressed by Erdogan's rule. Meanwhile, US and Russian officials are holding talks in Saudi Arabia about a possible peace deal in Ukraine. Ukraine's defense minister described separate discussions with the US in Riyadh as productive. Russia says today's talks mainly focus on ensuring safe shipping in the Black Sea, whereas Russian attacks on Ukraine continue overnight, with Moscow claiming to have intercepted 28 Ukrainian drones. Ukraine says it has destroyed 4 Russian military helicopters. Greenland's politicians have criticized planned visit by Usha Vance, thus the U.S. Second Lady, and Trump's National Security Advisor Mark Waltz. The visit follows past tensions over President Donald Trump's interest in acquiring the island. Outgoing Prime Minister Mut Edgar called the visit aggressive, stating that the officials were not invited for meetings. Greenland's likely next leader, Jens Frederick Nielsen, accused the U.S. of disrespect. Greenland, the world's largest island, is controlled by Denmark but manages its own domestic affairs. The U.S. has long had security interests there and operates a military base. British-American influencers Andrew Tate and his brother Tristan have reported to police in Bucharest after returning from the U.S. This was a legal requirement as part of an ongoing criminal investigation in Romania. The brothers are being investigated for forming an organized criminal group, human trafficking, trafficking of minors, and money laundering. Andrew also faces allegations of rape and sex with a minor. They deny all accusations. After leaving the station, Andrew, 38, did not confirm if he would stay in Romania, but said he would clear his name there and in the UK. The brothers returned to Romania nearly a month after their travel ban was lifted. And that's it from the global scene. Rebecca Goffey reporting for BeeTv News.
And now to the exciting world of entertainment. The 2025 African Magic Viewers' Choice Awards AMVCA nominations have been announced, with Lisha B, The Uprising, and 7 Doors leading the pack. This year's ceremony will feature 28 categories, both voting and non-voting, as well as 2 special recognition awards. The report. Lisha B, The Uprising, directed by Adedimeji Lateef, earned a remarkable 10 nominations, including Best Movie, Best Actor, Best Art Direction, Best Cinematography, and Best Indigenous Language Western Africa. Femi Adebayo's 7 Door trailed closely with 8 nominations, including the newly introduced category of Best Score/Music. Other significant contenders include Skeleton Coast, Anikulapo, Rise of the Scepter, and Inside Life. A panel of judges chaired by acclaimed film director and producer Femi Odugbemi will determine the winner in 18 categories, while the remaining 10 categories will be decided by fans through voting on the African Magic website, with voting closing on May 4th. Grammy-winning Nigerian superstar Burna Boy has once again captured the spotlight after teasing fans with a snippet of an upcoming song. The brief preview, which has been making waves online, showcases Burna Boy's signature deep vocals layered over energetic instrumentals, hinting at yet another potential chart-topping hit. Known for its electrifying Afrofusion sound and global appeal, the singer continues to prove why it remains one of Afrobeat's biggest exports. With this latest teaser, speculations are already mounting about Burna Boy's plan for 2025. While the snippet suggests a new single is on the way, fans are also buzzing about the possibility of a full-length album shortly. Lastly, on entertainment, the highly anticipated premiere of Iyabo Ojo's latest movie, Labake Olododo, was a night to remember as Nollywood's biggest star gathered to celebrate the film's debut. The event's green carpet was abuzz with excitement as celebrities showcased their bold and empowering fashion choices, embracing the inner warrior theme. The premiere was a proof to Iyabo Ojo's influence and reputation in the Nollywood industry, as her peers and colleagues came out in full force to support her latest project. The event was a celebration of Nigerian cinema with the who's who of Nollywood in attendance. And that's it on Entertainment News Tonight. Gifts Uwagbo reporting for BeeTv News. And now talking sports, Super Eagles coach Eric Chell has demanded maximum concentration from the Super Eagles players as they resume training on Sunday in Uyo behind closed doors ahead of their next game in the 2026 World Cup qualifying series against Zimbabwe. Let's now join our sports correspondent Freeman Osawe, who has more on these and other sports stories.
After their 2-0 win over Rwanda last Friday, the team flew to Uyo directly from Kigali via chartered value jet flight and settled for their first session on Saturday. As communicated by the team's media officer, Promise Efoege, the Franco-Malian coach isn't carried away by the win over Rwanda and has restricted access to journalists and visitors alike in the team's camp ahead of the game. The Zimbabweans also had their first session on Sunday at the training pitch at Gautula Babi International Stadium. Thanks to the win over Rwanda, Nigeria's hope for reaching the 2026 World Cup in the USA, Canada, and Mexico has been revived. Another win against Zimbabwe will further boost their chances as they trade South Africa, the Benin Republic, and Rwanda in the group. Nigeria are fourth in Group C of the qualifying series with 6 points after 5 matches, 4 points adrift of leaders South Africa, who occupy the automatic qualifying spot. The South Africans will also battle against the Benin Republic in Abidjan, while Nigeria face off with Zimbabwe. Portugal's Francisco Trincao came off the bench to score twice, and Cristiano Ronaldo also netted as they beat Denmark 5-2 after extra time for a 5-3 aggregate win that set up a Nations League semi-final against Germany. Ronaldo bounced back from missing an early penalty to play a crucial role in the team's recovery on Sunday, and though he had to watch extra time from the bench, he continued to drive the crowd on as Portugal finally found a way to end Denmark's resistance, with the dance leading the 1-0 thanks to Rasmus Ojilon's goal in Thursday's first leg in Copenhagen, and fullback Joao Mele having left the camp to attend the birth of his child. His replacement, Patrick Dogu, handed Portugal an early gift, bundling over Ronaldo to concede a penalty in the 3rd minute. Juventus parts ways with Thiago Motta and announces new head coach. Juventus has officially parted ways with Thiago Motta as head coach and announced the appointment of Croatian manager Igor Tudor, who will take over from this Sunday until the end of the season. Motta, who had an impressive playing career with clubs like Barcelona, Atletico Madrid, Genoa, Inter, and Paris Saint-Germain, joined Juventus on June 30th after guiding Bologna to Champions League qualification. However, the season has fallen short of expectations, with the team struggling to compete for the Serie A title and facing an uphill battle to meet its objectives. And that's it on Sport News Tonight. Freeman Osawe reporting for BeeTv News.
And that's the size of our news package for tonight. Many thanks for joining us. I am Gift Uwagbo. Have a good night.